I'm County Executive Mark Hackel, and Jeff Randazzo, the chief of the animal shelter here. And as you can tell, you can hear by the noise in the background, we are actually at the animal shelter, which is the main focus of what we do from a county's perspective. I mean, there's things that we do from an animal care. There's the support we give to the communities with some of the officers that'll go out there and kind of engage with other law enforcement agencies. But the main premise of what we do is the shelter care for animals here and adoption center. And so this state of animal control is the reason we're doing this is to get people to understand or make them aware of what we're really seeing that's coming into this facility and a need we have. There's a number of needs. One of those is obviously a new facility, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. But if you think about what we do here in this facility, 2,600 animals a year are brought into this facility alone. And so 2,600, if you think business days, 260 days a year, you're talking about on average 10 animals a day brought into this facility. Now again, it's not always 10. Sometimes it's 2, 3, and just like we had the other day, there was about 29 animals that were brought in from Armada. There were cats, a hoarding situation. So we see a multitude of issues and things that are happening that we do respond to, but in this facility there's a lot of care that we give or provide to these animals internally. And again, 2,600. We do adopt these animals out. We work with rescues. There were 960 direct adoptions that we did from this particular facility, but some of the rescues that are out there supporting us and helping us adopt these animals out, they too add to that number and try to help them. But again, it's all about what we talk about, this save rate. Once upon a time, they used to have what was called a kill rate here in this county, and it was pretty sad and it was pretty well known. We did not do a very good job of trying to figure out how do we provide the best care for these animals while they're here, to reunite them with their families or to adopt them out directly from us or from other adoption agencies or the rescues that we have. But Jeff has done a good job of taking it to a whole new level. That was one of the main, I guess, directions that we had. We came together and said, you know what, 15 years ago, we need to change what we're doing here in Macomb County. Well, today as we stand here proudly to say we have one of the best save rates in the entire state of Michigan, 95% save rate. And some will say, well, what about the other 5%? That's the humane side of what we do here. And what do I mean, the humane side? Sometimes these animals are brought in dire straits. Sometimes they're brought in because we know they're on their last leg, and sometimes it's the only humane way of dealing with them is to try to figure out, you know, do we have to euthanize them? And that's an unfortunate reality. And so with that being said, 95% is an incredible number statewide. I think people have recognized that, and it's because of the work that Jeff does here. But it's not just about trying to figure out how do we adopt these animals out, care for them while they're here. We do a lot more within the community from this facility and externally with the support that we give, and Jeff's going to talk a little bit about that by the numbers.
Yes, thanks. So this is a lot of the community outreach that we do, and so I think, you know, when we're talking about this 95% save rate, it's because we're doing a lot of what we call shelter diversion, and a lot of that is licensing these animals. So we have over 10,000 licenses a year. They have a smart tag, so they also have a QR code, so we can get those animals back to those owners as quickly as possible. We microchipped over 1,500 animals this year, 4,100 pets we vaccinated, 721 animals we spayed and neutered through a grant, and returned 542 of them in the field or through the shelter directly. So when we think of this 960 adoptions, we also think of all of these positive outcomes, and then also that we couldn't do it without our 30 active, amazing volunteers that help us get to this 95% save rate.
And when he talks about the adoptions, just from this facility alone, I do want to make sure people understand that there are more facilities that will take some of these rescues, kind of like they did with these animals we just brought in from Armada. You know, we just brought in those 29, but some of these rescues took some of those cats, and they are adopting them out. But just the adoptions that we do here, you know, you think about the number 960 adoptions, that's, you know, if you're talking about a calendar year, that's about 3.5 adoptions a day out of this facility, which is pretty significant. And that's our job, to try to figure out how do we reunite them or get them adopted. But that reuniting part is something that's unique, because we try to figure out, if you're microchipped, how do we get them reunited with their families? And the shelter has done a great job of coming up with a unique program, and we've somehow have already tied into 4 communities. Correct. And have done that. If you can kind of elaborate on that.
Sure. So Clinton Township, Roseville, Armada, and Shelby Township were all our pilot programs for are new self-scanning microchip stations, and they're all located at the police departments. And so far, just in Clinton Township, over 33 people within the last 2 weeks have utilized that self-scanner. And so it tells us that the community is more engaged, and our microchip return to owner rate is definitely going to increase. So it's about finding lost pets and getting them reunited with diverting from coming into the shelter.
Yeah, and so again, we're not here working out of this facility 365 days a year, but we do respond. We do respond to help out other agencies. And what do I mean by that? Kind of like the Sheriff's Department. Every municipality has their own law enforcement agency. Some have decided to contract with the Sheriff's Department for their service. It's the same thing we do when it comes to animal control. Most agencies or communities are responsible for their animal control, but there are two that decided they wanted to enter into a contract, and that was Roseville and St. Clair Shores. So we worked with them, had conversation, and agreed that we could work through that process and figure out how we could become their animal control, and we do that for them. And we're always open to dialogue and conversation for other municipalities. Jeff has right now, as I would call the detective team, if you will, where they actually will go out and assist law enforcement agencies in those other communities to try to help them with issues they may have specific to animal welfare or animal care. And again, it's not just the cats and the dogs, it goes beyond that. I mean, we talk about livestock, you talk about reptiles, and I mean, you've seen some unique situations.
Well, we have two hogs here right now that were part of a cruelty case. So our facility has to be able to handle livestock. So we have horses, we had sheep, we had cattle. And so it's all about, when we think of it, like you just said, it's not just cats and dogs, it's livestock. So think of the whole northern end of our community and our county. There's a lot of livestock out there.
Yeah, and we talk about this facility here, that we've been in. It's been built in the 1950s, that was before I even existed. So that was a long time ago. This facility was actually brought into existence. And there was some renovations that were done in 1981. That's right around the same time I started in the law enforcement, which was over 40 years ago. I mean, that was, it's been quite some time. It's kind of aged out. It's beyond its kind of extended useful purpose. We keep trying to throw some good money after some of the challenges that we're facing here. But the reality is we've been working with the Board of Commissioners, and we're looking to figure out how do we come up with a new facility. Much like we did with the jail project that we've worked on, our Marine Division out on Lake St. Clair. There are things that are capital projects that are needs for the county, and this is one that I know the Board of Commissioners is very supportive of, and we're going to continue to work forward on that. But again, I think that support from the community has been incredible. And when I say support from the community, we got volunteers that Jeff had mentioned. We're so fortunate to have these people here walking the dogs, taking care of them, caring for the cats that are in our facilities, and even helping us with the cleaning of the kennels and everything. There's so much that these volunteers do here. That's incredibly helpful. But you know what? Adoptions is incredibly helpful. I was fortunate enough to have adopted one myself, and a husky. And again, that process was incredible. I come here quite a bit. You see these animals, you're just hoping that somebody will take them, and we do see that, as was mentioned. 95% save rate, a lot of adoptions out of this facility. But there's also a way for those that maybe can't adopt and don't have the ability to do that, and maybe that's a direct donation to help us support that. And so with that, we've come up with a unique opportunity to try to get the word out about specific pets that we're trying to get adopted out, and just a generalized commercial to try to get people to say, hey, you know what, maybe I will adopt, or maybe I will donate. And this is the video that we're using.
Hi, we're the pets here at the shelter. Some of us are little, some of us are big, but we all have one thing in common. We're waiting for our forever family. We may have had a rough start, but every day we dream about cuddles on the couch, long walks, and someone to call our own. Until then, we've got each other. But we're really hoping the next person who walks through the door is you.
Hopefully you'll consider adopting one of these animals and giving them a forever home. But if you can't, please consider making a donation so that we can help care for them while they're here with us. Go to macombgov.org. Kind of a unique way to just get the word out. We know there's Humane Society that does that as well, and even on a national level, but locally we've really never pushed that. And we know there are people out there that are tremendous supporters of animals, especially here in Macomb County. You do one little post, and it's amazing how many people kind of respond to that. So we know there's a lot of animal lovers here in Macomb County, not just those that work here and those that are responsible for it, but we know there are people out there that do care as well. So we're always looking for that support. Again, the next phase of where we're headed is getting people to really understand the work that is done done out of here. We know there's a tremendous amount of support, but we're going to be working on, as I mentioned, as part of our capital projects. There's a multitude of them that we're still moving forward within the county. This is one of the highlighted ones that even in the budget process that we're finishing up right now, the capital plan that we have moving forward has this animal shelter in it, and I think you're going to see some unique things coming our way in the near future. So with that, on behalf of Jeff, myself, and the team here at the Animal Care Facility and our Adoption Center, we want to thank you for kind of listening to what we had to kind of present you today and give you some information by the numbers, and we'll allow an opportunity for any questions you may have.
Yes, you want to upgrade the facility. How much is that expected to cost?
Yeah, that's a great question because we don't know exactly where it's going to be because there's a multitude of locations we're looking at. We would hope that it's property or land that we already have. These are my suggestions. We're putting it out there. We're working with the board. So I think that's going to be a savings, not having to worry about the land itself. We'll have that. Suggested properties could be Freedom Hill. Could have been a partnership with Macomb Community College. It's still possibility on the table. I'm not too sure, whether that will happen or not. But the Verculen building right up the road here, we're going to be doing a new Verculen building, and so with that there could be a combined effort to try to build a facility for the animal shelter there as well. So in total the cost, just an estimate, we really haven't done it out, haven't done a real study that really comes to a direct number, but I'm going to say probably anywhere between $15 and $25 million is kind of the target area. I know that's a wide range, but 15 to 20 million is at least going to keep me in a safety zone in case it is pretty expensive.
And what would be the plan regarding this facility once a new one is created?
Based upon the footprint we see here, there's no question. It's going to be the kennels and the appropriate type of kennels, separating animals that be a little bit more aggressive than others. We've got the medical portion of the facility that we try to make sure that we have separation of these animals that might be sick. You've got areas where like we're using a garage for major incidents, but it really isn't the best conducive area to deal with these cats that were brought in from a hoarding situation. Correct. And then as Jeff kind of added on to our facility here and done a great job with it is for the livestock, that we have out and back. We think we could expand upon that. And then obviously the walking kennel, but I think even some of the trail space and ability for people that want to donate their time to walk some of these pets and these animals on a regular basis. Some of the outdoor amenities would be incredibly helpful as well, so these animals can play. And Jeff can attest to, we had a situation where there's, was it 6 dogs that were here for almost an entire year? We were raising these dogs from little puppies in this facility, and it was awful. I mean, if you think about it, being raised in a cage, but they did the best they could with the accommodations we had to try to make them, feel,
and think of the season. So in winter, even for us to get the dogs outside, especially when you think of those cruelty cases where these dogs spend over a year here, it's, getting them outside, that's even more volunteer friendly, animal friendly. So I think that's important, like inside gymnasiums, things like that.
And even this intake area here, if you will, I mean, it should be more for that. In other words, if another department or agency or somebody wants to bring it in, we can bring them in here, we can assess it, make a determination, kind of put them someplace. So there's a lot that we can do, with a new facility, and we're constantly throwing ideas and thoughts out there. But I think at some point in time, we're going to be able to put something together that's going to be pretty significant for people here in Macomb County, and I think that day will be coming sooner than later.
Yep. Great.
So.
I know you mentioned you have 30 volunteers here working. Is it just Randazzo and the 30 volunteers, or are there other staff as well?
Yeah, there's other staff. I mean, they do have support. I mean, they have the kennel attendants, they have the officers that are here, the dispatcher, people that are kind of working in the phone intake area for people calling in. We also have the officers, and you have 5 of them that are assigned here. And again, that's usually the Monday through Friday, working with other agencies. As I mentioned, the Detective Bureau, kind of managing some of the cases that come their way to figure out, what support they can give them if it's something that might be an animal cruelty. Right. How do we respond if there is some kind of a, like you just got through dealing with, this hoarding situation, So then there's a lot of things that come our way. The county continues to grow, and with that need continues to grow.
Absolutely.
There is a couple of things that are coming up. Yeah, we want to make sure we mention a food program here. This is going to be for people to kind of fill the trailer. I don't know if you saw that, but we do have a fill the trailer opportunity for people to kind of help our senior citizens provide food for their pets. And Jeff, I'm going to have you touch on that for a second, because it's not just the senior citizens. There are sometimes people that just kind of want to give up their dogs or their cats, and because they can't quite afford to feed them or keep them, so they do a good job of trying to figure out, okay, how do they keep those pets with those families that they've had by providing them food assistance for their pets. And again, it's not just about the seniors, it's about everyone.
Yeah, so we have a pet retention program. So this program is called Fill the Trailer. So this is going to be for our homebound seniors. So we're working with the Macomb Food Bank. And every year we probably collect around 18,000 pounds. So in our livestock trailer, we put it over at Pet Supply Plus over in Clinton Township on Garfield. And then you could go to Pet Supply Plus, purchase whatever pet food you want, or even litter and toys, put it in the trailer, and then it's dispersed to all those homebound seniors. So now we're talking about another program, which is that pet retention program. And for us, it's about removing those barriers. How can we keep those pets with those families? And a lot of it is through covering medical costs through grants, through vaccinations, microchipping, even dog training. We provide dog training. So the whole goal is to keep those pets with their loving families. And how can we can even, in some cases, we house them while maybe they're going through something, and we help pay for some of that. And so that diversion program is really important, and that's also how we get to our 95% save rate. But it's about that thinking outside the box, right? I think we're in a different time now that we have been working really hard at that, as you have mentioned. So,
any other events coming up?
So we also have Trunk or Treat coming up, which is another amazing event that we, Lori, the volunteer coordinator, came up with. So it's going to be coming up. It's going to be held next door at Public Works parking lot. And so it's on October 18th. So you could sign up online. So you could just go to Macomb County Animal Control or macombgov.org, click on departments, and you could sign up. So you could do, there's a costume contest. We're also going to be giving out treats. So I think right about now, there's about 20 participants that are in it.
Meaning give it out some of the treats for the
Yes.
animals. So, and again, costumes are optional.
Yes.
You don't have to. The dog.
But it's
doesn't want
alum night too. I think that's important too, right? Alum night.
Which means I'll be wearing a Ricky.
Right, so you definitely will be there.
And what else?
So Snip Happens is our first time ever. We are going to, the veterinarians and I and our team are going to work with our community cats. And these are only for male cats that we could do here in the building. And so on October 11th, we're going to do Snip Happens. So right now I think we have over 10 community cats are signed up for the program. So it's neutered, vaccinations, and ear tips. And it's to promote that TNR program that we started back in 2013.
And hit me up with that TNR program. In other words, how successful has that become? And you were the one that instituted that here within the county.
Yeah, we're the first county ever that had a county-wide trap, neuter, and return program. And I think that is important because we have TNR'd thousands of cats since 2013. And it is extremely successful. So if we looked back in the day before we started, we were euthanizing over 6,000 cats a year. And so when we talk about how far we come to get to those save rates, I think that's important because we know that there was a better way to handle our community cats. And so it's through Snip Happens and Trap, Neuter, and Return.
Yeah, and as Jeff mentioned, before we took over, the county was, again, it was just kind of a norm. I don't think it was just this county. I think everybody was doing it. This whole, idea of just, euthanizing.
What with all the communities within the county?
I know. All these euthanizations that were happening with these cats, and we thought, you know what, if you spay neuter them, then the multiplication, or the multiplier effect kind of goes away, So that was Jeff's idea. Okay, let's spay neuter them, put them back in the community, and, rather than having that issue.
Well, I think we worked together with big colleges, University of California, Davis, University of Florida, vet school came here, and they knew that there was a better way. And so it's just about that educational piece and thinking outside the box, right? Yep. To get to all these important pieces. Do right for the animals.
And eventually the communities all got on board with that.
They did.
So then they supported it.
Absolutely.
So. Good enough? All right. Who would like to adopt a cat?